What up, y'all? It's your girl Ashley. I be ballin'. Got another episode of Be Ballin' Basketball Show. We're gonna review the new Untold Netflix episode called Shooting Guards. But before we begin, I want to introduce my cousin Will. Talk about Road to William, your YouTube channel, and where they can find you.
What up? This is Will from Road to William. I do movie reviews and look back on history, take some gems out, and we just explore life and the journey. But come on over to Road to William. I'm on TikTok and I'm on Instagram as well. Go check me out, more content. So yeah, that's where to find me.
Oh yeah, Road to William. Go check it out. And we'll be dropping a bunch of a bunch of videos, right? Until
Daily
you turn
drops.
32.
Yep, daily drop till I
Da-
turn 32 Monday.
Daily drops. All right. Bringing that fire every day. Okay. Yeah, the Untold Netflix series, it's been pretty good, a lot of different sports stories and they got a Brett Favre one that's coming up. I'm gonna watch that one.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Yeah. They already No, they didn't do Aaron Rodgers. He got his own Netflix documentary. Netflix
Oh,
been doing a lot of sports series,
oh yeah.
track and the Olympics. It's been cracking. But
Mhm.
so shooting guards, that was very, very interesting because growing up watching the NBA, I heard about the whole gun situation with Gilbert Arenas and the Wizards and the 50 game expansion, but this definitely brought a lot of details, that I didn't know about. And we're gonna talk about, each person, Gilbert, Javaris Crittenton, but we also gonna talk about, who gets all the blame, because I've been reading some people's comments and people are like, it's Gil's fault or it's Jarvis's fault. We're gonna, break that down and see, who was in the right, who was in the wrong. But they basically was like, giving a little background on each person and how they got to the NBA and, you know, their upbringings, their family, you know. And I think, they're very similar, but they're different as well. But before we do that, how I like to do my movie reviews is like if you can describe this, doc episode in one word or it could be a phrase, what would you which word would you pick? And mine would be called decisions because or nah decisions and reactions because I feel like life is about decisions and how you react to certain situations, and I think that's what this is all about. And even if you're not you know into like sports, that's what life is all about, making decisions and how those decisions have consequences and how it can affect your life and others. What would your phrase or word be?
Mine would be like integrity because it's teaching you about what it is in this film. It's like a learning from right and wrong in this film, and when no one's watching, who are you, And it shows a few times where it's like, and they even say it in the documentary, but like everybody has, like you said, a choice in the decision to making, you know, everybody played a part in the decisions that came about. So yeah, that's my word.
Yeah, okay, okay, okay. That's a good word. That's a good word. So yeah, the doc, it was talking about Gilbert Arenas and his dad, and how he was like a jokester and a prankster and, you know, uh, his NBA career and how, he kind of hurt himself with the combine. Like those people take those combine answers seriously, and he didn't really take things serious. He was kind of like a jokester, Um, and so he failed in the draft, but then he went to the Wizards, and that's when his career went up, started to be an all-star and things like that. And they were talking about Javaris. I'll learn more about his background because I definitely heard about him. Um, and they were talking about how how he grew up in the hood and also how he went to college. But I feel like Gil and him have they're similar because they both kind of like dropped in the draft and they both had to like get up from that situation. And like the Wizards trade for Javaris was supposed to be, a big change. Like sometimes, it's a good change of scenery. And he was just trying to make it. And so they all talked about the incident, they playing cards, right? But I think both of them wasn't even involved in the card game. I think Javaris was sleeping and, Gilbert Arenas chimed in. They both was chiming in about, give him his money and blah blah blah. Um, and I kind of wanted Earl Boykins, who I really did like, and JaVale McGee to be interviewed, but they probably was like, man, I don't even want to go back in the past. So they probably didn't even want to get interviewed. But yeah, I don't think it should have went that far from okay, a gambling debt that doesn't even involve Gil or Javaris, right? And it turns into this big thing with guns. And both trying to be mano y mano, going back with the different threats and shoot you in the knee and put you, in the fire car. I mean, you know, but I think it was Gil just being a jokester. But I think in Javaris's mind is like you're challenging him, and I think neither one didn't really know each other that well. So if you don't really know each other that well, if you don't know Gil is joking, and if Gil don't know that Javaris is being serious, that's when the problems, because it's like different personalities and different backgrounds, and you don't really know how, because you have to talk to each person differently. And that's where I feel like you should have been the leader, get to know each person, because you're not supposed to talk to everybody the same. But of course, he has matured, but he's still kind of that jokester inside, because like he has his own show called Gil's Arena. And he still crack jokes, but he still got matured because he has kids. But where do you think this all went wrong? Like, do you think the whole locker room incident, you know, where do you think it all went wrong? Because, Javaris brought his gun, he was strapped, and man, Gil is just he's like taking jokes too far, putting guns and a note on the chair, and like people, and he a youngster too, just trying to make it in the NBA. So, uh, no guns were fired, but it got out, right? So where do you think it all went wrong to like do this whole gun thing? Guns in the locker room.
I think um more of a conversation, more of a personal the they should have built their relationship, better, um, personally, because he got warned. Javaris got warned about Gil and how he acts and stuff. Anyways, that was kind of like his intro to him. Like, okay, just know, just you'll see, you know. Which I think that helped in a way, but it's still whether he that helped or not, like it still happened. So I don't think it necessarily helped because you still brought your gun to this. Because also we gotta look at Javaris though, like his situation with him going to the Lakers first. Because I kind of got that feeling when he didn't make it to the Atlanta Falcons, right? Not the Falcons job, Hawks.
Yeah, yeah,
When
he
he was
wanted to. Yeah,
he wanted to be like that hometown. Maybe, things would have been different, but I think it was kind of I don't know. You want to say blessing in disguise, but I don't know because his city would have hated him either way. Like it just goes to show. Like that's why I was like, oh, it felt like the cities, not just Atlanta. It just feel like cities do be waiting up on that come up and downfall. Even I see that a lot now. Like side note with Doechii, like Doechii been trying to put her name in the game, and then any little incident, it's like, oh, we got to hate her for some reason, and it'll do that to any new artist or any artist that's trying to get it out the mud themselves. But I saw that in this too, like that was a good example to show like you could do all the good things. Like he was a good kid in school, he got the grades, he living his dream, he getting, but that doesn't matter to somebody who still didn't get out, who still got to look at you on TV and maybe feel away. But when he went to LA, his whole life had to change, his whole mindset had to change. Being out here in LA, I do get where it's like you do have to kind of be on your P's and Q's um, when you're out here, when you're moving around. So, yeah. So when you live here, if you move around enough, you're gonna know which places you are supposed to like not keep up, not be around, and what time to be around, not be around at all. Like the thing about LA is like it could be like, oh, this look like a really nice neighborhood. You're like, yeah, but it's the hood. You be like, but you better be careful because that's how you get swept up. You know what I'm saying? But that's like that with every city. But like Milwaukee, maybe you might not see a whole bunch of beautified uh, projects, but I feel like that's what South Milwaukee was a little bit. It was like a beautified project because there are still food deserts. There was still you still had to kind of drive a little bit to get to a little bit, you know. But I said that to say LA isn't a game, especially if you're trying to get into that. That's a whole nother thing. Like that's what you're trying to avoid. Like, but we see now like the extortions, even NBA known NBA players had to go through just being in LA. So it's like that. Dang, you want to see somebody win, but then the other side of that is like, oh, people want to hate on that. People are looking for it. That's a target. That's, you want to go to the NBA. They see money. You see money too, and then so does the people who want it see it. So it's just like double-edged sword sometimes. But I think we gotta give him a little bit in that sense of grace of like his whole mind, his whole life changed when he went to the Wizards.
mhm.
But it was funny when he said somebody went to the Warriors and they was like disappointed. Like it's
That was
funny to say
Gil.
that. That it's funny to see that now because it's like, well, now they done built a whole name, so it's you kind of do that's kind of one of the dreams you do want to go there. But it's funny. But even the Wizards, when they were saying the Wizards back then, I was like, I was like, they tried to throw Michael Jordan name in there, like we gonna care more. I'm like, but like he is
Oh,
wearing
brother.
Dockers shoes and jeans with a suit jacket on. Um, that's not the Jordan we're talking about. This is past and gone. Okay, we're looking for the new up and coming. But no, but I also feel like that situation. I know you're probably gonna talk about it, but I was thinking about this earlier about like what's the appropriate, I don't want to say punishment, but appropriate like consequence you have to deal with when you get in that situation. Because look, imagine him still being in prison. Um, what does prison after a certain point really do? Especially if somebody who is has really trying to change their life, to have a new perspective. You know what I'm saying? If you let, a stone cold killer who like it want to keep doing it, they don't care who they is. It's like, okay, them motherfuckers be in that, right? Or send them to the war. Okay. But but it's like, what is the appropriate time? Because then you see a mother who's suffering, their kids who's suffering, who still got to hear his name, see his name. Even the Netflix bringing this story back up, it's like bringing up feelings, re-entering that. So it just retakes a toll, and you can only imagine about the guy who was standing next to the girl who was her, they were friends. He probably feels hella guilty too, like, and so, but I think everybody learned a lesson in that time is short, and time, it's like this movie. It's on Tubi. I think it's called like 5 minutes or something like that. But it's basically like it took 5 minutes to change your life. And it was about this dude who like his ego overtook everything and he shot somebody off of ego. But so like it only takes a matter of minutes, matter of seconds. And even Javaris sat there in that moment knowing like I should not do this. That's why it's like this movie played with integrity. Like, and even the his friend saying, or his cousin or whoever was with him, was like, nobody gonna know. That's like the wrong person you want to be around. Like, for someone to just like push it on, like, I ain't gonna say nothing, nobody gonna. You rented a car, your face is on the video. He didn't know that part. He didn't know all that. He just knew, look, this a whip, nobody out here. You know how nosy neighbors are? Somebody saw, heard something. Somebody heard or saw something. Always. Okay. And, but what do you think about that? Do you think somebody should just stay rot in jail forever? Or can people turn their life around, come back from this?
Well, I think the family the family didn't know about it, so I think that's what makes it probably bad because they probably thought he was gonna get 23 years, but you know, him having connections with Dwight Howard's uncle or some family member, they made a deal, house arrest or something like that. Commu- Community stuff like that. And so 10 years, that's a long time. And you do hear about some people getting early release because of good behavior or something. But it is tricky. I don't think he should have rot forever in jail. But I do think they should have told the family because they probably was like, "What? He's out." So that brought up even more feelings because they're not over it. I don't even think 23 years would have been enough for them to get over it. But I think it's all about what is he doing now that he's free? Is he helping others not make the same mistake? I did see him talking to, I mean, he was with some um Black men youth group. So I think that's good that he attends those because he can say, "Hey, I made it to the NBA, and look what my where my life turned now." But yeah, I think it's the not knowing about the deal that was pretty bad, and also I don't know, like I do like that the mom said she forgives him, but you know, not gonna forget. And I don't know if they would like ever talk or I don't know if like I don't know if the family even wanted to meet him or talk to him. I don't know. But like you said, one one moment, you know, I feel like it's also a ripple effect too. It's like because when he was with LA, he wasn't used to not playing, and a lot of guys don't realize like even if you make it in the NBA, your role is not going to be the same as it was in high school or even college. You gotta start from the bottom again. Unless you're like a top pick. And he got depressed and he was like, okay, these gang members, he wanted company, right? And so I think you have to surround yourself with the best people. Because, like, even you said, like, when he was with the guy in the car, not the person you should be around. And I think him going back to Atlanta, like, so they know who you are. And they probably think you rich like Gilbert Arenas, but you're not. You still, like, you on a rookie contract. And so you probably got some millions stashed away, but you ain't big balling like that. Him going back to LA was bad because he should have just started fresh. But I get it, your family's there, your mama probably there, but a bunch of instances where you got robbed, like it was a couple instances where he was just getting robbed, so they targeting you now, so you need to move. And so the whole revenge, and then he was talking about God said, "Oh, we about to ruin your life." As soon as you heard God say that, don't pull the trigger. You still can go out. And he's like, I can't turn back. Yes, you can turn back. He was like, no, he can't turn back. He locked eyes with the enemy. And then he started shooting. But you still could have turned back. Even that small moment, God warned you about to throw your life away.
I think
Ah,
in that moment, I was like, they could have had a conversation, especially if she was as light as the mom had described her. Like she could have been um that mediator, of them talking it out. But when you got somebody in your circle, you only as good as the company you keep. An ironic line from Raising Kanan coming from Snaps and Pops. We're not gonna discuss that here, but I'm just saying it's you're only as good as the company you keep. If you surrounded by fools, you the biggest fool. And they know you have power, you know, and they coming at you for a reason. And I think it just ego struck in that moment and trying to prove and trying to feel like it's just you didn't know a different way how to deal, you know, with that emotion.
yeah. Like replaying it in my mind, there was a couple of instances where he could have like turned around because I think he did go to the police, but then he was like, "No, I'm gonna handle it myself." What?
And that's how they found him too, because he told the cops that specific. And now you're leaving traces of it for them to be like, oh, yeah, it's you. You told on yourself.
And if they're targeting you, Atlanta knows you. You grew up in Atlanta, so everybody knows you. It's not like you're, in a different town you didn't grow up in. And then people calling like, yeah, yeah, that's Ja- Javaris, the basketball player. Yeah, like, so it's like it's a lot of instances where he could have, and then there was an incident where, I think he did get sad because everywhere he went after the Wizards incident, people are people think he's a certain type of person, right? Someone was like, "Oh, you were playing cards, so he got cut there." And then someone said you stole some flip flops and you got caught there. It's almost like you prove them right by following suit and shooting. Well, you were aiming for the wrong person, but I mean, aiming for a certain person, but when he said he went to China, I think it is depressing for some basketball players because they want to be in the NBA, but you can still make a great living overseas. And if China didn't work out, you can still go somewhere else. Europe, Greece, it doesn't have to be China. But even Marbury, stuff on Marbury, he actually rebuilt his whole career in China. They got a play and a statue of him and stuff. Because, eventually he got like blackballed from the NBA. So you can still, but I get it. Like he's young, he wants to be in the NBA, but I still think he should have stayed overseas somewhere because like, those gangs not gonna get you over there. Like they gonna be like Javaris, yeah, he visits his mom sometimes in Atlanta, but he doesn't live here. He's hooping somewhere, in Costa Rica or Spain or Mexico but I get it. It's not very because like loving basketball. She played basketball, right? But she still missed, LA home. So I
Mhm.
get it, but I also think him growing up without a father, and I don't even know if he had a male role model. You gotta have somebody to look up to tell you all those, because his life could have went way different. And I get people want to blame Gil, but there's a lot of other incidents that happened after Gil that he should have did differently, in my opinion. But yeah, Gil was the prankster, and he should have been actually the leader because now you're a vet. And like even the suspension 50 games, it's like you already got a big time contract, Gil. You ain't got nothing to worry about. You already made it. You experienced all-star games and all that. Your own shoe and stuff. This guy, he's on a rookie contract, he ain't really done nothing in the league. So he kind of got punished with Gil. Gil started it, but it's like sometimes they do attach you to it. But like now
Yeah.
that I get it, I think Gil was right. I think they didn't want him people to know that Gil was buying guns and then putting them on the plane. That's probably why it was such a big suspension. But yeah, I think it's and then I didn't even know about the murder. So then I was really liking the documentary, but then I found out it was the wrong person. I said, "Oh my
Uh,
goodness, that part was really sad." Because when he was describing it, he was just like hitting. But I didn't know it led to a murder. Like I knew he was getting in trouble even after the whole gun locker thing, but I wasn't really keeping up with it because I'm like, well, he's not, you know, he's not like a big time player. So I was like brushing it off. But I was like, I didn't know he killed somebody. Like I knew he got into some more trouble afterwards. But I was like, oh my goodness. And dude, it was dark too. So it's like it's dark. You you see him and you lock eyes and you hit the wrong person. That just tells me like you really not for the game life because you ain't even hitting the right person. Like, but I'm not saying nobody deserves to die. Like, I'm not saying the person that sold the jewelry deserves to die. I'm just saying, you hit the wrong person. And so that I just feel like life's decisions, many decisions can lead up to big decisions. I mean consequences. What are your final thoughts as we wrap this up? You know,
I think
any
that you said
yes,
what?
yeah.
Oh, I think that Gil um putting them guns on the seat was too much. Um because in that moment you could have brought the guns, had them in your bag, and then if y'all was trying to do a duel or whatever, but that kind of escalated it more, like taking it too far. Especially if y'all haven't built the relationship, not knowing the background behind of each other's story was a missed opportunity. Well, they probably build it now, but before that, maybe he wouldn't approached him like that. But then we don't know too much of Gil. I feel like they didn't give us enough for us to really understand why Gil would bring all those guns either. Because they're like, oh, he's a jokester, but it's like, but like just like he said, his father was a jokester. He basically said his dad masked pain, and he did too, because it's like, okay, yeah, it's nice to laugh, but you do need to cry. You do need to feel those emotions, ride them out. And how did you mask it? How did he, I don't know. Just because you have a vice, you still need to deal with the pain. But I think it was just another form of bullying too, putting it out there like that. And another reason that I think this is a good documentary to show like another side of why do basketball players, when they quote unquote made it to that successful point, why do they personally feel like they need to carry a gun, And they we see that to this day, like with John Morant, and we see this to this day with even with um people in different sports, like Aaron Hernandez, stuff like that. You just be like, how did we get this far? They supposed to have made it. They shouldn't even have to worry about it, but you still get mad. Money doesn't take away your madness. It doesn't prevent anything from happening. It doesn't stop your sadness, your happiness, none of that. Like, uh, so it's like that money gonna come and do the same thing it's supposed to do, and you gotta like change and evolve yourself. But I think this is a good film to watch. I even had I had my girl with me watching it. She liked documentary stuff. I was like, it must be really good if she sit down watch it. But yeah, it was a really good film. I'm really glad that they had the victim's mother. They call her Peapie, Peapie's mother. And I like how the mother she was still upset. She wasn't gonna sit up there and be like, look, I'm here for him. I pray for him. She's like, no, I'm upset. Like, and I like the rawness of that. And so yeah, keep doing these untolds, and I think y'all should really watch it.
Yeah, yeah. These Untold it's getting pretty big out there. Netflix got, Netflix doing it big.
Mhm.
Thanks for joining me, cuz. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And you go visit the Road to Williams. They're dropping daily, dropping every day. You heard me? But yeah, I do think like, yeah, you have to figure out why are you doing these things. Like Gil has to figure out, okay, why are you being a jokester so much? Jarvis has to figure out why was his mentality always going to the guns and the hood and the trouble, you know. Just continue to play basketball, man. Go overseas, because sometimes when you ball overseas, NBA scouts looking at you, they might say, "Hey, okay, he's more mature. He's turned a corner." There's
Oh, oh,
always.
oh,
Oh,
I
what'd you
wanted
say?
to add to that too when I forgot which player it was. He wasn't getting too much time on it. I think it was Javaris, but because of those few minutes he did play, he got an opportunity for another team and coach to check him out. Like sometimes you don't need to play a full season. Like, they want to see the ones who y'all keeping in the cut. They like, okay, y'all got him for a reason. Why are y'all shelving him? Oh, bet we about to. It's all a game. Like it's a game on the court. It's a game off the court. Soon as your name pop up as an interest on the newspaper, they own you. They like, whoo. So I think that's just a good lesson too. Like you don't have
Yeah,
to play the full minutes. You just need to make those minutes count.
yeah, exactly. You know, exactly, exactly. They always trying to find those diamonds in the rough. that untapped potential, you know. Oh, and oh, the guy that linked the story, you know, I get it, it's your job, but come on, dude. To see if it was an actual shooting in the locker room, okay, you gotta report that. But like beefs happen in the locker room, arguments happen in practice all the time, you know. But he was just doing his job as a comma, what they call it, like a reporter, sports reporter, just digging up stuff, talking to people, and I just find it interesting because no one got the story right, you know. Gossip, all these, all everywhere on TV, you know, and just all these lies, and no one got the story right. I saw a young Stephen A. Smith.
Oh,
He was actually like he was better when he was younger. Now that he's, you know, older and rich and stuff,
oh
now
yeah.
he's too
He's
much.
Stanley next door. He's Stanley at Friday.
He's too much. He's too much right now.
Oh, how did you feel about Phil Jackson? Do you feel like he held him back, held his
Um,
player back?
no, because I mean, it depends. Phil Jackson, he's a good coach, but it takes time, you know, because if you're trying to win games or championships, sometimes the young players you know, get the run of it, you know.
Mhm.
It's almost like the Bucks. I'd be like, Bucks, can't I know you're trying to win a championship, but there's a lot of these young players on the bench that are gonna play better than the vets. So it's a balance. It's not always the coach's fault. I do think some coaches hold players back, but I also
Mhm.
think it sometimes you just need a change of scenery. Sometimes
Yes.
you need a coach to believe in you. Sometimes you need a vet that to take you under his wing like a mentor. It don't always got to be like a Gilbert Arenas, but a vet that's, you know, maybe like the 10th guy off the bench, you know, he could tell you some things, but